Hello everyone, I'm Bryan Pascoe, the Chief Executive at ICMA. I'm delighted to be here with Arnaud Delestienne, who is the Chief Commercial Officer and member of the Executive Committee at the Luxembourg Stock Exchange. Arnaud, welcome and thank you very much for your panel contribution earlier on, which I thought was really insightful, so thanks for that.
You're welcome, Bryan.
I guess you're not unfamiliar with the Chinese market, but perhaps given what you've witnessed today, you can elaborate a little bit more on how you're helping the Chinese and Asian issuers access the European bond market, and how are you helping them to learn what the options are there, and also vice versa in terms of the conversations that you've had today.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Luxembourg Stock Exchange is an international exchange by design, with a long-standing history of helping accessing new pools of investors, new geographies. And as the global leader in terms of international bond listings, we have also a very long track record of helping Asian issuers penetrating the European investor base. And we've been doing that not only for international bonds in hard currencies, which was probably the starting point, but over the years, as we've developed our solutions, we've also been able to accompany those issuers moving into sustainable finance, for instance, but also moving into local currency bonds and going up to assisting them in also bringing more visibility on what they do in their local markets, in their domestic markets. So, for instance, here in China, we've been very proud to be able to list structures like free trade zone bonds or Yuan bonds or panda bonds, actually.
Right. Okay, that's really interesting. I mean, it's very clear that there's a huge proliferation of activity taking place. And I'm sure you've had a lot of really valuable conversations today, but what advice have you been able to give Chinese issuers in particular who've been looking to issue offshore?
Well, it's a complicated process. I wouldn't want to, make it sound more complicated than it is, but certainly in the current environment, things have not been really easiest one. But if we park this for a second, I think the direction of travel is pretty clear. I mean, China has such an important role to play in global economy, in global trade, that naturally we should see more and more Chinese and more Asian companies taking advantage of global bond markets. We're here to actually support them via different type of platforms. What is very important perhaps to keep in mind is that listing an instrument offshore or issuing an instrument offshore is part of the company strategy. Well, it certainly means diversifying your funding sources, right? So it builds resilience into your capital structure. Now, this is all fine. It brings visibility as well, but it also brings credibility to the issuer because it signals an acceptance of international standards and an openness to actually operate by governance or operate by frameworks that are not necessarily completely aligned with the frameworks that you would have applicable in your domestic market. So in terms of advice, I would say certainly there is some merit in understanding the governance and the disclosure rules that are required by the investors in these global capital markets. There is also certainly understanding what is the story you're going to tell to investors in terms of your growth strategy, in terms of your transition strategy, in terms of your governance framework, and also make sure that through your action and your reporting, you stick to that storyline, you support, you show some consistency. And finally, I would say choose your partners. Choose people who have a true international network reach, who have a long-standing experience to do so in terms of your partners. I mean, banks and law firms, but also infrastructures. I think it's critical when you want to make the most of exposing yourselves to the international investor base. Partner with an infrastructure that has a long-standing experience in handling this type of transactions.
No, that's really helpful and insightful to know. I think there's a number of steps that you outline there, thinking strategically, building relationships, and looking at that connectivity, which I think we've really been able to deliver today in what's been a really fantastic session. So thank you very much for your insights. It was really nice to speak with you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.